Hello, my dear OET champions. Here is how to write an impressive letter if you're preparing for your occupational English test. Let's go top to bottom. The recipient's name and address comes first. Include the name and title of the recipient if it is given. The formal titles that can be used in OET letter writing are Mr., Miss, and Dr. Dr. Only skip the title if you're not sure about the person's gender. If the name is not given, include the job title of your recipient, like district nurse or the emergency consultant or duty doctor. Next, what's important is the date. Where do you put in the date and in what format? Okay, here is what you should do. The date of writing the letter can be placed either at the beginning of the letter or after the recipient's name and address. This date will be your date of examination. You can either use a full format, like 10th June 2019, or just numbers with slashes in the British format DDMMYYYY. Ensure that you use slashes in between. It is also acceptable to use a full format at the beginning of the letter and the number with slashes in between inside the body of the letter. Uniformity on date format is not so particular. We move on to the salutation part. How do we greet the recipient? The formal salutations in letters start with the word dear, followed by the title and surname of your recipient, and then by a comma. Full name is not required, just the surname. For example, dear nurse or dear Mr. Peter. If there is no name given, use the job title. Next is the reference part of the subject line. Here you need to mention name and age of the patient you're referring. A good practice is to write the full name and age of the patient in one line followed by a comma. It is also acceptable to use the date of birth of the patient soon after. If the date of birth is not given, you can mention the age, like how it's given here, Ivan Thompson, followed by a comma, DOB, that's date of birth 01/08/1984, or reference Ivan Thompson, comma, aged 38 years. We now move on to the body part of the letter. Remember, words are only counted from here. Ideally, the first paragraph should state your purpose of writing the letter, and the following paragraphs should elaborate on the information. The introduction of the letter should be short and must clearly state the purpose of the letter. It's appropriate to start with a thank you note like how it appears here. Thank you for seeing Mr. Thompson. Then you would go down further and now mention summary of chief complaints. Give a detailed summary of the chief complaint in this section of the letter. This may be multiple paragraphs depending on the nature of the letter. After that, add secondary or additional information. Here, you add more relevant information about the patient you think your recipient should know. Again, this could be multiple paragraphs. And then, the discharge, treatment, transfer plan, and medications. According to the type of letter, be it referral or discharge, this paragraph or paragraphs should mention the plan from case notes. And the most important, the closing sentence. This is very, very important. Here, you are telling your recipient that you are willing to answer any questions they might have. This sentence gives a nice correspondence tone to your letter. A common phrase to use is, if you have any further queries, please do not hesitate to contact me. And now we move on to the end. There are mainly two ways to formally sign off a letter. Follow this with your designation, yours sincerely or yours faithfully, followed by a comma, and just below that your title, and never your name, because this is